My name is Mia Carter. I'm 27 years old. And on Christmas Eve, I handed my younger brother a sealed envelope containing enough money to cover 3 months of his rent. I had worked weekends, canceled a planned vacation, and taken freelance projects after my regular shifts to save it. I expected gratitude. I would have accepted an awkward thank you. Instead, he tore open the envelope in front of everyone, pulled out the payment confirmation, and waved it over his head like evidence in a trial. "Well, look at this," he said. "She's trying to compensate for the fact that she's not needed by this family." The whole room erupted with laughter. My mother covered her mouth, pretending she was shocked, but I saw her shoulders shaking. My father stared into his drink. An aunt whispered that he was only teasing. Nobody asked why my hands had gone cold. In that moment, the Christmas lights blurred into wet halos, and the carols on the speaker sounded like they were mocking me from a great distance. Have you ever given someone everything you could afford only to discover they valued your money more than your heart? I reached across the table, took the envelope from his hand, and said, "Good to know." He laughed again. He had no idea the envelope was connected to something much larger than his rent. Neither did the relatives laughing beside him. I walked into the hallway, opened my banking app, and pressed 3 buttons. 15 minutes later, my brother's phone began ringing. Then my mother's. Then my father stood so quickly that his chair crashed against the floor. Suddenly, everyone was shouting, "Mia, please listen to us before I tell you what those calls revealed and why my entire family chased me into the snow. Tell me, what time is it where you are, and where are you watching from? I want to know how far this story travels." My brother's name was Ethan, and humiliating me at Christmas dinner was not an impulsive mistake. It was the latest example of a pattern that had shaped our family for years. Ethan was 4 years younger than me and the only son. My mother called him her miracle boy, and every failure in his life was blamed on someone else. When he failed a class, the teacher was unfair. When he wrecked my father's car, the road was slippery. When he lost a job for repeatedly arriving late, his manager supposedly felt threatened by his potential. I was treated differently. At 16, I worked in a grocery store and paid for my school supplies. At 18, I earned a partial scholarship and took 2 jobs to cover college. Whenever I said I was tired, my mother reminded me that I had always been the capable one. It sounded like praise, but it meant I received responsibilities while Ethan received rescue. By 27, I managed financial operations for a small architectural firm in Brooklyn. I was not rich, but I lived carefully. Ethan had moved through 4 jobs, 3 apartments, and several failed business ideas. Each time he created a crisis, he called me. The first time I paid his rent, he promised to repay me within 6 weeks. He never did. Later came a security deposit, car insurance, utilities, a laptop for a video editing career, and emergency dental money that somehow became a weekend in Miami. Whenever I hesitated, my parents said the same things. "Your brother is struggling. You're doing better than he is." Family helps family. They never explained what family should do when one person performed all the helping. 3 months before Christmas, Ethan called me after midnight. His landlord had issued a final warning and eviction proceedings would begin after New Year's Day. Ethan claimed his employer had cut his hours. I later learned he had quit after being denied 2 weeks off during the holidays. Still, I agreed to help one final time. I would cover 3 months of rent directly through the landlord's payment portal. In return, Ethan would create a budget, apply for jobs every week, and stop requesting money from me. The envelope contained confirmation of the scheduled payments and a handwritten note explaining that he had until March to become self-sufficient. He never read the note. He saw the amount and used it to humiliate me. What Ethan did not know was that his rent was only one part of the financial support I provided. During the previous 5 years, I had paid portions of my parents' mortgage. When my father's contracting work slowed down, I covered my mother's medical deductible, overdue taxes, vehicle insurance, and supplemental payments on a consolidation loan I had co-signed. My family rarely thanked me. My mother called it temporary help even though the requests never stopped. When I walked into the hallway, my cousin Ava followed me. She was the only person who had not laughed. "You heard what he said before dinner, didn't you?" she asked. I shook my head. Ava showed me a family group chat from which I had been excluded. Ethan had called me the family ATM with a superiority complex. He mocked my job, my apartment, and the fact that I was single. Several relatives replied with laughing emojis. Then I saw my mother's message. "Be nice. We still need her through tax season." That sentence hurt more than Ethan's insult. They had created a private version of me, a lonely woman who used money to feel important while continuing to accept everything I paid. Through the closed door, I heard Ethan repeat his joke. Someone laughed again. My mother told him to thank me properly because she did not want me getting dramatic later. Ava asked what I planned to do. I opened my banking app. I canceled Ethan's scheduled rent payment, stopped the voluntary mortgage transfer due to my parents 3 days later, and removed myself as an authorized payer on their vehicle insurance. I did not take money from anyone. I simply stopped giving them mine. 12 minutes later, Ethan's landlord sent him an automatic cancellation notice. My father received an alert about the mortgage transfer. My mother saw the insurance notification. The laughter ended. Ethan rushed into the hallway. "What did you do?" I took my gift back. "That wasn't just a gift." "No." I said apparently it was compensation for not being needed. My mother followed him, her face pale. "Mia, don't make a permanent decision because of one joke." Ava raised her phone. It wasn't one joke. My mother saw the hidden group chat on the screen and stopped speaking. Her lips moved without sound, the color draining from her face, the way it does when someone realizes the audience has been reading their script all along. Then the entire family began shouting at once. My father ordered everyone back to the dining table so we could discuss the situation like adults. For years, being an adult in our family had meant paying quietly while Ethan avoided consequences. Now that the payments had stopped, maturity had suddenly become important. Ethan stood beside the fireplace, gripping his phone. My rent payment was canceled. "Fix it." "Need?" I asked. "Stop playing games." "You promised." "I promised under certain conditions." "You quit your job and lied that your hours had been reduced." His eyes moved toward our parents. He had not expected me to know. My father asked whether it was true, and Ethan claimed the workplace had been toxic. I called the store. I said, "Your assistant manager said you stopped showing up after your vacation request was denied." My mother immediately attacked me for contacting his employer. I reminded her that Ethan had asked me to pay nearly $6,000 based on a lie. An aunt stared at him. $6,000? $5,760, I said. 3 months of rent, late fees, and portal charges. Ethan had told everyone the envelope contained only a few hundred because he wanted my gift to seem insignificant. Now the room understood what he had mocked. My mother lowered her voice. "Your brother made one stupid comment. Canceling his housing because your feelings were hurt is extreme." I did not cancel his housing. I declined to finance it. You would allow your own brother to become homeless? The question was designed to trap me. Instead of answering, I asked Ethan how much money he currently had. He refused. Ava placed her phone on the table and showed everyone his recent social media posts: nightclub bottle service, a new gaming console, expensive sneakers, and a video saying Christmas had arrived early. My father picked up the phone. "You bought this while you were behind on rent?" Ethan pointed toward me. "She said she was covering it." That sentence exposed the entire problem. He had not used my help to recover. He had treated it as permission to spend. My mother offered excuses until I opened the folder on my phone. Since everyone thinks I use money to control this family, let's review what I supposedly purchased. Over 5 years, I had paid $23,000 toward my parents' house, more than $8,000 in medical costs, $6,000 toward their loan, 11 months of vehicle insurance, and over $14,000 directly for Ethan. The total exceeded $50,000. My father sank into his chair. "My mother told me to stop humiliating them." Ethan scoffed. "Nobody forced you." "You're right. Nobody forced me, and nobody can force me to continue. My mother began crying and declared that I had ruined Christmas. I nearly apologized out of habit, but Ava read her group chat message aloud. Be nice. We still need her through tax season. The tears stopped. I asked what they needed me for during tax season. My father finally admitted they were 2 quarters behind on property taxes, almost $9,000 with penalties. They had planned to tell me after Christmas because they assumed I would solve it. My mother said their savings were for emergencies. This is an emergency, I replied. We can't empty our savings, but I can empty mine. No one answered. Then Ethan's landlord called. Unless the overdue balance was paid by December 29th, the eviction filing would move forward. Ethan returned to the table looking terrified. You have to send it, he said. No, I'll repay you. You said that before. I mean it now. You mean it whenever you need something? He looked toward our parents, waiting for them to command me. For the first time, neither defended him. Mia, I'll lose my apartment. You have 4 days to sell the console, return what you can, contact your landlord, and find work. Ask the friends you've spent years impressing. They don't have that kind of money. Neither do you, yet you laughed at mine. He called me heartless and accused me of destroying his life over a joke. I picked up my coat. No, Ethan. I spent years preventing you from destroying your own life. I'm simply moving out of the way. My mother followed me to the door, begging me to listen. I turned toward the family. I listened every time you said Ethan needed more. I listened when you said I was stronger, luckier, and more capable. I listened while you turned my boundaries into guilt. Tonight I listened while you laughed. Now you can listen to me. I am finished paying for people who treat me like a bill-paying stranger. Then I walked into the snow. By Christmas morning, my family had rewritten the story. According to them, Ethan made a harmless joke, and I retaliated by endangering everyone's housing. My mother called 6 times before 9. My father left messages asking for a private conversation. Ethan sent more than 30 texts, shifting from anger to desperation. You embarrassed me on purpose. You're jealous because Mom and Dad actually enjoy having me around. Please send at least 1 month. If I end up on the street, that's on you. I did not respond. Instead, I created a list of every account connecting me to my family and contacted an attorney about the consolidation loan. Because my name remained attached to it, I could not simply ignore the debt. The attorney advised me to obtain the complete payment history and freeze any future changes. That was when I discovered something worse than the group chat. The original consolidation loan had been $12,000. Based on my payments, the balance should have been below $5,000. Instead, it was nearly $16,000. My parents had refinanced and increased the loan 8 months earlier. The electronic signature authorizing the change looked like mine. I called the lender. A representative confirmed that the modification had been completed online using my information. A verification code had been sent to an old email address my mother knew. Part of the additional money covered household debt, but $7,000 had been transferred directly to Ethan. I remembered my mother borrowing my laptop the previous spring. She had said her phone battery was dead. When I returned to the room, she had quickly closed a browser window. At the time, I thought nothing of it. Ava came to my apartment and studied the documents. She forged your signature. You need to report it. The old instinct returned. Protect the family, absorb the damage, keep everyone together. Filing a report might lead to charges. My parents could lose the house. My mother might never forgive me. Ava saw my hesitation. If you protect them from this, they will learn that stealing your identity works. I asked my father to come alone. When I showed him the records, his face lost its color. He admitted he knew about the refinancing and the transfer to Ethan, but claimed he did not know my signature had been used without permission. What was Ethan's $7,000 for? A resale business, he said. Electronics, shoes, collectibles. He promised he could double it. The business had never existed. Ethan had used the money for trips, restaurants, electronics, car repairs, bedding, and old debts. My father cried and admitted he had accepted my support because confronting Ethan was harder. I'm filing a fraud dispute. I said that could involve the police. Yes, your mother could be charged. Yes, Mia, please. Did she ask me before using my identity? No. Then why am I expected to protect everyone? After a long silence, my father whispered, "You shouldn't be." My mother reacted with anger. She arrived at my apartment and pounded on the door while I spoke through the intercom. She insisted the signature had been a formality and claimed children did not prosecute their mothers. When guilt failed, she threatened to tell everyone I had endangered their house. "Tell them," I said. "Send them the loan documents too." I filed a formal dispute and the police report required by the lender. I provided facts without exaggeration and refused liability for debt created without my consent. Ethan called from an unknown number. "You're trying to send Mom to jail." "I'm protecting my identity." "She did it for the family. She did it for you." He offered an apology, but attached demands to every sentence. He was sorry, so I should restore the rent payment. He understood my feelings, so I should withdraw the complaint. "That isn't remorse," I said. "It's negotiation." "What do you want from me?" "Nothing." That answer frightened him more than any demand. For the first time, he had nothing I wanted badly enough to make me surrender my boundaries. 3 weeks later, Uncle Ben arranged a family meeting. I agreed to attend only if Ava could join us. The conversation was recorded and nobody demanded money from me. My parents were already seated when I arrived. Ethan looked exhausted. His expensive watch and jacket were gone. He had sold his gaming console and returned some clothing, but he still owed his landlord more than $3,000. The eviction process had begun. My mother opened with a prepared speech about healing. She called the loan modification a technical mistake and said nobody had acted maliciously. Uncle Ben placed his phone on the table and began recording. "Who completed the application?" "I did," my mother admitted. "Did Mia authorize it?" "She had agreed to help with the original loan." "That wasn't my question." "No. Did you know her signature was required?" "Yes. Then you knowingly used it without permission." "I was protecting our home." Uncle Ben placed the transfer record in front of her. "Why did $7,000 go to Ethan?" She claimed he had presented a business plan. Ethan insisted the resale business had been legitimate, but he could not produce invoices, inventory records, customer messages, or tax documents. "You didn't operate a business," I said. "You used borrowed money to perform success online. You always have to prove you're smarter than everyone." "No. I have to prove that numbers remain true when your excuses change." I showed the family records of every payment I had made. From 2021 through Christmas 2025, I had contributed $52,480. The unauthorized loan placed thousands more in my name. Ethan accused me of keeping records so I could use them against everyone. I keep records because I work in finance. Normal people don't make spreadsheets about family. Normal families don't forge signatures. Uncle Ben asked how much Ethan had repaid me. He could not answer. $400, I said. Then he borrowed it back. My mother defended their expectations by saying I had been in a better financial position. Ava replied, "Mia is in a better position because she works and saves. Ethan spends because he expects rescue. You punish her for being responsible and reward him for refusing to grow up." My father quietly said, "She's right." My mother stared at him. "We relied on Mia because it was easier than confronting Ethan," he continued, "and easier than confronting ourselves." Ethan pushed back from the table. "So everything is my fault now." "Your decisions are your fault," my father said. "Our enabling is ours." Then Uncle Ben revealed another deception. Ethan had asked him for a loan using a letter claiming he would soon receive an $18,000 insurance settlement. Uncle Ben contacted the attorney listed on the document. The letter was fake. My mother finally stopped defending him. She demanded the truth about the business. Ethan admitted it had never existed. He had spent the money on trips, clothing, electronics, restaurants, debts, and sports betting. He believed one large win would replace everything before anyone noticed. My father walked out of the room. My mother stared at Ethan as if she no longer recognized him. Ethan looked at me. "You got what you wanted." "What do you think I wanted?" "To turn everyone against me. I wanted you to stop using me." "Congratulations." Uncle Ben told him the landlord had offered an alternative. Ethan could suspend the eviction by paying $1,200 immediately, signing a repayment plan, and showing proof of employment. Uncle Ben knew of an overnight warehouse job, and my company's contractor needed temporary cleanup workers. Hope appeared on Ethan's face. "Can you give me the $1,200? No. His hope disappeared. "You can earn it," I said. "Sell the rest of your luxury items and take both jobs. Manual labor?" "Yes." He looked at our mother. This time she did not object. My father returned and placed Ethan's car keys on the table. The vehicle was legally his, and he had paid most of its expenses. "We're selling it. Part of the money will repay the loan. You can take public transportation." Ethan looked horrified. "You can't do that." "I can, and I should have done it months ago." He pointed at me. "This is because of her." "No." I said, "This is because everyone protecting you has finally stopped." Ethan left without agreeing to either job. The following morning, he called the warehouse. The months after the meeting were not easy. Boundaries protected my bank account faster than they healed my mind. I woke up believing I had forgotten to pay someone's bill. When my phone rang, I expected another emergency. I felt guilty whenever I bought something for myself, because I had spent years measuring my value through usefulness. My therapist called it hyper-responsibility. I began writing reminders in a notebook. "Ethan, working overnight is not an emergency I created. My parents reducing expenses is not cruelty. Saying no does not erase the years I said yes. Love without limits becomes permission." The lender confirmed that my authorization had not been valid. The modified portion of the loan was frozen while the investigation continued. My parents hired an attorney, sold my father's newer truck, canceled unnecessary expenses, and rented their basement to a graduate student. My mother blamed me for the humiliation. My father reminded her that the alternative was losing the house. Their marriage weakened because they could no longer redirect financial pressure toward me. My father and I spoke once a week. He never asked for money. My mother alternated between affection and blame, so I responded only to messages related to the legal case. Several relatives stopped contacting me. Others apologized privately, but refused to correct the lies publicly. I learned that private support from people who remain publicly silent is often just self-protection. The money I stopped sending home allowed me to enroll in a financial analytics program I had postponed twice. I failed my first practice examination, studied again, and passed. At work, I designed a system that identified thousands of dollars in duplicate vendor charges. My director promoted me to senior operations analyst and gave me responsibility for 2 departments. For the first time, a raise did not disappear into someone else's crisis. I increased my retirement contribution, built an emergency fund, and booked a trip to Lisbon. I cried after purchasing the ticket because I had canceled a similar trip the previous year to pay for Ethan's car repair. Ethan took the warehouse job and hated it. He complained about the schedule, supervisors, and physical labor. But my father warned him that quitting meant losing his apartment. Ethan sold his car, console, designer shoes, and electronics. Uncle Ben gave him weekend maintenance work at a youth center, paying him the standard temporary rate. The landlord accepted his payment and suspended the eviction. For once, no one had rescued him. Ethan kept his apartment through labor, selling possessions, and negotiation. It proved that he had always been capable of more than our family allowed him to attempt. His social circle collapsed after friends discovered he had borrowed money from several people using different emergencies. At the warehouse, he received a warning after arriving late 3 times. With nobody available to intervene, he changed his schedule and began arriving early. I saw him again at our grandmother's birthday. He wore work boots and an inexpensive jacket. After avoiding me for most of the afternoon, he approached me near the kitchen. "I still have the apartment," he said. "I heard. I'm working 60 hours some weeks." "That sounds exhausting." "You don't have to sound pleased." "I'm not pleased you're struggling. I'm pleased you're handling it." He admitted that he had always expected me to pay. Even after Christmas, he thought I would calm down in return, because our mother said I always did. "Why did you insult me?" "Because I was embarrassed that I needed you. Making everyone laugh made me feel like I was in control. You weren't embarrassed enough to refuse the money. No. Then he admitted something worse. He had known I had not approved the loan modification. My mother told him I would refuse, but she could handle the paperwork. Did you help her access my email? I asked. He looked down. I remembered your old password pattern. I guessed it. He had not merely accepted the money. He had helped obtain the verification code. Why are you telling me now? Because the lender keeps asking questions. Mom wants me to say I believed you approved, so you're confessing because you're afraid they will discover it. He could not deny it. I called my attorney. Ethan begged me not to report him, saying he could lose his job. I reminded him that he had accessed my email and helped use my signature. My mother overheard the argument and tried to claim Ethan was confused. My father asked him directly whether he had accessed my account. Ethan admitted it. My mother accused me of trying to destroy her son. When I refused to back down, she slapped me. The room became silent. My father stepped between us and Ava moved beside me. I touched my cheek and looked directly at my mother. That is the last time you will ever touch me. Then I left and blocked her number. The investigation lasted several more months. Ethan submitted a statement admitting that he accessed my email and helped retrieve the verification code. My mother admitted using my electronic signature, but claimed she believed I would eventually approve. The lender removed me from liability for the unauthorized increase. I remained responsible only for the original portion I had knowingly co-signed. And my attorney established safeguards preventing further borrowing without in-person verification. Because my mother and Ethan had no prior criminal records, cooperated with investigators, and entered repayment arrangements, the prosecutor approved a resolution without incarceration. They received probation, community service, financial fraud, education, and court-ordered restitution for my legal expenses. Their actions became part of the public record. My mother called the outcome a betrayal and told relatives I had branded my own family as criminals. I did not answer. Their actions had created the record, not my boundaries. My parents eventually separated. My father moved into a small apartment and continued making loan payments. The house was sold before foreclosure became unavoidable. After the mortgage, taxes and debt were settled. Little money remained. My mother took an administrative job at a medical office and moved into a rental apartment. I did not celebrate her losses. Consequences did not return the years I spent being used. They simply stopped the pattern from continuing. My father and I rebuilt our relationship slowly. He attended counseling, managed his own finances, and stopped carrying messages from my mother. He asked about my work and my life, without connecting them to what I could provide. Ethan remained at the warehouse for almost a year, moved into a cheaper apartment with a roommate, and began studying for a logistics certification. His court-ordered community service took place at Uncle Ben's Youth Center. Over time, he became effective at helping young men prepare resumes and apply for entry-level jobs, especially those who believed ordinary work was beneath them. That did not mean Ethan and I became close. 8 months later, he asked to meet at a cafe. He arrived early and placed a sealed envelope on the table. For a moment, I remembered Christmas dinner. Inside was a cashier's check for $2,000 and a repayment plan. "I'm not asking you to trust me," he said. "I know this doesn't fix anything." "No, it doesn't." He nodded rather than becoming angry. "I used to tell people you helped because you wanted us dependent on you. The truth is, I needed to believe that. Otherwise, I had to admit you were helping because I couldn't handle my own life. I hated feeling smaller than you. So I made you look small in front of everyone. That explains it. It doesn't excuse it. I know." He apologized for Christmas. The group chat, the lies, the money, and accessing my email. He did not ask me to contact the prosecutor, repair his relationship with our mother, or restore his access to my life. It was the first apology he gave without demanding a reward. "I forgive you enough that I don't want to carry hatred," I said. "But forgiveness does not restore access." "What does that mean?" "It means we may speak occasionally. It means I hope you build a good life. It does not mean I will lend you money, co-sign anything, share passwords, or become responsible for your emergencies. Ever." "Ever," he nodded. We did not hug. Some relationships do not require dramatic reconciliation. Sometimes the healthiest ending is limited contact, clear boundaries, and no illusion that the past disappeared. My relationship with my mother remains severed. She sent a letter apologizing for slapping me, but continued defending the loan fraud as a desperate decision made for her family. I returned it unanswered. A year after the Christmas dinner, I celebrated Christmas Eve in my own apartment with Ava, friends from work, and my father. We ordered too much food, exchanged simple gifts, and laughed without turning anyone into the target. My father gave me a keychain engraved with 4 words. "Your life is yours." "I should have taught you that when you were a child," he said. "I know it now." Later that night, Ethan sent me a photograph from his holiday shift at the warehouse. A vending machine coffee sat beside a budgeting workbook. His message read, "Rent paid, no loans." "Merry Christmas," I replied. "Merry Christmas." Nothing more was necessary. The revenge was not watching Ethan suffer. It was watching the system that protected his selfishness collapse. He lost the car he had not earned, the friends he had impressed with borrowed money, and the reputation built on lies. More importantly, I stopped sacrificing myself to protect him from those losses. My greatest success was not my promotion, certification, or trip to Lisbon. It was sitting in my own home without fearing the next phone call. It was spending my money without preparing a defense. It was learning that generosity is meaningful only when freely given, not extracted through guilt. On Christmas Eve, Ethan opened my gift and announced that I was not needed by the family. 15 minutes later, they panicked because my money had stopped protecting them from reality. For years, I believed their panic meant I mattered. Now I know better. Being needed is not the same as being loved. Respect is not proven by how desperately people chase you after you leave. It is proven by how they treat you while you're still in the room. That keychain still sits on my desk, catching the morning light every time I open my laptop. A small, steady reminder that the door I walked out of that snowy night was never a loss. It was a homecoming to myself. So let me ask you one final question. If keeping the peace required you to surrender your dignity, your future, and your self-respect, would you still call it family harmony, or would you finally choose freedom?